I'd like to call the Gurnee Village Board regular meeting of January 7th, 2019 to order. Roll call, please, Andy.
Garner. Balmas.
Present.
Hood.
Here.
Thorstensen.
Here.
Jacobs.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
5 present, 1 absent.
All right, and Trustee Garner did let us know he was out of town. So if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is a wonderful way to start 2019 with a full house. That doesn't happen often. First up is public comment. If you'd like to address the board, you can come up to the microphone, state your name, and if you could also sign in the back that what your name is so we get it accurately spelt.
Hello. Mayor Kavorik. My name is Peggy Innes. I live on Hawthorne Avenue in Gurnee. I've lived here for 15 years. I want you to know that I have survived 3 cancers in the last 3 years. I was having so many cancers that the doctors had me tested to see if I had a genetic predisposition to it, and to which, thankfully, I do not. I try to live a healthy lifestyle. So that leaves what? The water, the food, the air. The doctors and I had been scratching our heads to find out why this was happening to me. And now I think I have the answer. Ethylene oxide. I've had much opportunity in the last 3 years to study cancer. Did you know that it can take up to 10 years for a cancer to form and grow? And unless you test all your body parts every year, it can easily sneak up on you. I come to these meetings and listen to the facts presented to you and all the pleas from the residents and parents, and I think to myself, why isn't the mayor and the board up in arms about this poison in our breathing air? This doesn't just affect the people who live close to Vantage and Medline. This affects all of us who live, work, and play in Lake County. Mayor, I plead with you to take immediate action to test these facilities, shut them down, or do whatever it takes to protect the citizens of this village. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any other public comment?
Hello, my name is Sarah Crawford. My parents moved to Gurnee when I was 3 years old. My parents live 1 mile from Vantage, and my mother was a first grade teacher at Spalding School for over 20 years. Collectively, our family has been paying taxes in this community for over 37 years. I grew up here. I graduated from high school here. In my 20s, I moved to Chicago, and I even moved to Ireland. But in 2014, my husband and I moved back to Gurnee because I wanted to ultimately raise my family in the same safe community that I grew up in. But now, with this threat of toxic, cancer-causing gas that we're breathing every day, I'm petrified. I'm absolutely petrified for my family's health. The Chicago Tribune broke the news to the public in early November, and shortly after that, we had a large snowfall. Now, growing up here in Gurnee as a child, I loved to go out and play in the snow. So what did I do? I took my 2 precious girls and I bundled them up and we went outside to play in the snow. And as any typical 5-year-old and typical 2-year-old would do, they wanted to eat the snow. And I stared and watched in horror as they picked up a fistful of snow, giggling and laughing, and shoved it into their mouth. I actually screamed at them and said, "Stop! Don't! You don't know what you're eating!" I don't want to live like this. I can't live like this. Mayor, and trustees of Gurnee, please, I beg of you to take action now. Hire an independent testing firm to test our air. Prove to the residents of Gurnee that we either have nothing to worry about or we have everything to worry about. Mayor and trustees, do the right thing. Conduct independent testing. Protect your residents. Protect us, please.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Tea Tanaka. I'm a resident of Grays Lake. I'm a senior scientist. I'm also a mother of two. I'm a wife, and I'm here to talk to you as a scientist and a mother. The reason why I'm here is to talk to you about ethylene oxide. Others before me spoke about the dangers of ethylene oxide, how it causes cancer. You heard one of them is already a patient. I'm here not to talk to you about the dangers, though. I'm here to tell you that industries have alternatives. It's not just ethylene oxide or nothing else. They're not going to move out of the area. If we ban ethylene oxide to save ourselves, to save our kids' lives, we are not, chopping their chances of giving the community sterile equipment. They're not going to move out of the area because Chicago is their biggest client base. They will stay here. It's very cost ineffective for them to move out. So I'll talk a little bit about the alternatives that they have. There are at least 8 alternatives to sterilization. I found some of them from the EPA website, and they are approved by the EPA. The first one is pressure steam systems. Basically, that's the old style of increasing temperature, increasing pressure, and the combination of the two will kill microorganisms. Hydrogen peroxide plasma systems, this is basically where hydrogen peroxide has become a gas, and the ions are actually what kills the microorganism, what kills the bacteria and the virus. Sorry, I'm a little... Peroxide acid, hydrogen peroxide gas plasma system. This is basically the same thing as the previous one. However, it uses 3 compounds. It uses hydrogen peroxide, acetic acid, and peracetic acid. They become plasma at high energy, and that plasma actually is what kills bacteria or the viruses. A fourth option is ozone, which basically kills the microorganism by passing oxygen. This is, instead of an O2, which is the one that we breathe, this is O3. So it's 3 oxygen molecules together. And basically that is a very oxidizing agent for the cell. And it basically will kill the cell. The other one is radiation, which in this case they use gamma and electron beam radiation processes. These are used commercially for sterilization. A lot of companies do them. They're very safe because basically the instrument and everything is incubated, so these gamma radiations are not going out in the atmosphere or in the community. And the last one is microwave radiation. You use microwaves every day to cook your food, to heat it up, etc. The same system, the same processes can be used for sterilization. There are many companies that uses microwave radiation to sterilize equipment as well. In conclusion, I want you to know that banning ethylene oxide is not going to put these industries out of business. They're not going to move out of the area. This is the best place for them to be. What it will make them do is look at alternatives, have to invest in these alternatives. We don't have to kill ourselves, put our children at risk just for a few bucks. All they'll have to do is reinvest, get a new method, and basically pick up from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the research.
Hello. My name is Sumera Khalil, and I am a freshman at the College of Lake County in Grace Lake, and I'm 19 years old. I'm 19 years old. However, instead of being concerned about whether or not I will get through the semester with good grades, I'm burdened by the fact that I'm at risk simply because of the air I breathe. On top of that, I have recently discovered that this toxic gas has been and is currently being emitted into the air for the past few decades now. This is absolutely ridiculous. Not only is this hazardous to me, but it is hazardous to my neighbors, my 9-year-old sister, my friends, and you as well. Studies have shown in the 2016 IRIS Evolution, U.S. EPA noted that an increased incidence and mortality of breast and other cancers have been observed in workers in ETO sterilizing facilities. They also determined that ETO exposure does cause breast cancer in women. What baffles me is your failure to immediately shut down these factories after this release of information. It doesn't matter how much money will be lost in doing so. However, the amount of money lost will not and should not matter towards the lives that will be lost because of this cancerous chemical. No one deserves to die in the name of profit. I came today to urge each and every one of you to look past all of this and see what is happening in front of you. You may not see it now, but soon, if this somehow continues, people in Lake County and other areas will be at risk of death because of your incapabilities to save them, all in the name of making money. We need to put aside our greed and focus on what truly matters, human life. So I urge you again and again to please try harder to put an end to these factories, because I would rather worry about losing money than losing lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well said.
Hello. My name is Annette O'Connell, and I've spoken here before. I don't have a speech prepared. I demand some answers. It's unfathomable that you are aware of this ethylene oxide issue, and it's been going on, and we keep coming up here, and we keep saying things and presenting facts and stories, and yet you all just stare with blanket eyes. And what are you doing? The last time I heard, you were attending a meeting. Well, meetings don't do any good unless action comes out of those meetings. So unless you're doing something to move forward, you are all responsible for every single one of the children in the room and the people in the room. This is going on way too long. Are you going to hire somebody outside, not from Vantage or Medline or anybody on the EPA, an outside individual to come and do some testing? And it isn't a matter of money, because I know you can find the money somewhere in your little books there. There has to be a way to do it. I'm just livid. I'm absolutely livid with the way that this situation has been handled. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments.
I'm also going to be speaking about ethylene oxide, which is also called ETO. So my name is Nivanthi. I am a proud alumni of WTHS. I'm grateful to District 56 as well. I went to Viking, I went to what was formerly known as Eau Plaine, and I also went to Spalding. And I'm so incredibly grateful for the resources that I was provided with there, because it enabled me to succeed not only at Warren, but also to pursue my bachelor's in neuroscience at Princeton University. I'm now a master's student at Yale. Studying neuroscience confirms much of what we already know. We know that children are learning and changing faster than we can keep track of. We know that, neuroscience also tells me, and you, that there are numerous so-called critical periods that occur during childhood, during which the brain changes especially quickly. We also know intuitively that thinking deeply is exhausting. So it's no surprise that our brain, which is a small organ, consumes about a quarter of the energy that our bodies burn. Our blood enables our brain to generate this enormous amount of energy by transporting oxygen and other gases such as ethylene oxide to and from our brain. It is for this reason that I am so concerned about the emission of ethylene oxide, ETO, from Medline, Sterigenics, and Vantage. When we consider the rapid development of our children's brains, it is nothing short of terrifying that Vantage is blocks from Spalding. I'll remind you, that is where I went to school from kindergarten through second grade. I have nothing but wonderful memories from there. But the data show that ETO does cause brain damage over time, even at small doses. This damage can cause cognitive deficits, memory loss, brain cancer, such as glial cell tumors, granular cell tumors, and malignant reticuloses. Lake County has one of the highest counter risks in the entire US. That is unacceptable. Think of those close to you who have had to deal with this disease. We already had one woman spoke up today about this issue. Wouldn't you be infuriated to learn that your zip code, not your genetics, contributed to your illness? We also had an accomplished senior scientist today speak up. Imagine that, in spite of all the education that you worked so hard to achieve, which gave you the opportunity to live in such a seemingly wonderful and safe community, that you might still develop an unavoidable but potentially avoidable illness. Given ETO's known carcinogenic effects, we need to know exactly how it has contributed to Lake County's insanely high cancer risks. This requires a rigorous and independent scientific investigation. If not for our own sake, we owe it to our children to do this. They depend on us to provide them a safe environment in which they can flourish and grow. We need independent agencies monitoring, reporting, and reducing these ETO emissions. Furthermore, the development of these companies have massive environmental impacts. By clearing land and its foliage, we lose the resources which not only improve the air quality by clearing pollution, but also physically block the wind that carry this poisonous gas. But if our health and our surroundings are not enough, consider our economy. In the time that I have lived here, Gurnee has lost Borders, Sears, and we're losing Lowe's. Willowbrook, which also had to deal with this ETO issue, experienced massive property devaluation due to ETO emissions. Gurnee literally cannot afford to lose the revenue from property as well. Mayor and trustees, your very title has the word trust in it. Let us trust in you. Let us trust in the community we grow up in. We need to reduce ETO emissions for the sake of our kids, our environment, our economy, and our own health. The scientists who spoke up today provided safe alternatives to ETO. Let us trust that this ETO issue will be resolved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Diane Sorofka. I'm a resident of Gurnee for 31 years. I have two issues. First of all, whoever spoke about the money, there's an item in the agenda. Start writing notes because nobody's written anything. An item in the agenda regarding selling of 2 cells that the village owns. I'd like to know what the monthly cost is for those cells that are being sold on our behalf to the LLC. It's not in the minutes. My second point. As I've said about everyone here has talked about issues of health and ETO. I'd like to talk about money. The village has retained a third party to do a feasibility study for a sports facility here in Gurnee. That would be the triad. We had Gurnee Mills, Wolf Timber, and this would then be the triad. Revenue coming into the village. I want you to think about this feasibility study being done, and I asked the village whether or not we have acted in good faith in letting this company know that we will be under investigation by the EPA for ETO. What company will come to Gurnee, spend millions of dollars on a building, only to have families boycott our area? Who's going to bring their families here with ETO? I want you to think about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Ryan Horth. I live at 4487 Sheffield Court. I'll be brief tonight and address just 2 topics. The first is the December 14th ethylene oxide update on the village website. This statement asserts that Vantage expects to decrease stack emissions of ethylene oxide to under 10 pounds per year when they complete installation of a second scrubber. We feel this statement is misleading, as stack emissions are only a small part of Vantage's emissions. Many residents will likely not understand there are multiple types of emissions, and stack emissions are only one. They may get the impression that Vantage's emissions would be negligible. There are two types of emissions that must be reported to regulators. Stack emissions that can be reduced through scrubbers are one. Another is so-called fugitive emissions that escape from the pipes and valves used in the ethylene oxide systems. These emissions are estimated based on reference data and accepted methodologies given by the EPA. They are reported along with stack emissions. And in 2014, Vantage reported 925 pounds of stack emissions and 5,487 pounds of fugitive emissions. So while it is good that Vantage will be further reducing stack emissions, those emissions are already only a small portion of the reported emissions. Fugitive emission estimates also do not account for other emissions that are part of many ethylene oxide processes. Those emissions are not measured or tracked. To summarize, we believe giving statements about stack emissions only is misleading to residents, as it is not a reflection of the actual emissions, but will be misinterpreted by many residents as such. The second topic I want to discuss is neurological damage caused by ethylene oxide. We've talked a lot about cancer, and I talked some about the explosion risk. But cancer is not a special malady caused by ETO. It is merely the end result of the repeated damage it does to your body. Someone exposed to ETO who does not get cancer has not escaped damage from ETO. Ethylene oxide is mutagenic, and every molecule of ETO that you breathe in will damage the cells in your body that it contacts. ETO enters the bloodstream and will move in largest quantities to the parts of your body that demand the most blood, your heart, your brain, basically the most important parts of your body. One of the most common findings in those exposed to long-term low doses of ethylene oxide is peripheral neuropathy and decreased nerve conduction velocity. ETO destroys nerve cells, resulting in slow destruction of the nervous system over time, even at very low doses. It also leads to cognitive deficits. One study looked at hospital employees who were exposed to ethylene oxide for an average of 11.6 years. The amount of exposure was, on average, within OSHA guidelines, less than 1 part per million in 8 hours. These employees were compared to a control group of similar employees with no exposure. The study found there was a dose-response relationship between exposure to ethylene oxide and decreased nerve conduction velocity. Likely as a result of this, the group of exposed employees were 71.3% less accurate on the hand-eye coordination test given. That's a pretty large difference, 71.3%. Their nervous system was slowly being eroded away. On the continuous performance test, which detects brain damage, the study found a dose-response relationship with the score. The more exposure to ethylene oxide, the lower the score and higher the evidence of brain damage. Finally, on the 8 psychometric subtests in the study, the exposed group performed worse in all 8 of them. Again, these were employees with fairly low exposures, levels thought to be safe, and all of these problems were subtle. There were no indications anyone realized they were impaired. Another study after that one sought to replicate it with a larger sample. This study had similar findings and concluded by saying, quote, "This study suggests that dysfunctional personality and cognitive impairment may be associated with the chronic low-level ETO exposure that are common in hospital central supply units. There are many other health issues caused by long-term exposure to low doses of ethylene oxide. I will continue to research and provide more information in the future on those conditions as well." Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Irish Shikundi. I'm 10 years old, I'm in 5th grade, and I'm here to talk about ethylene oxide. So everybody here has been talking about ethylene oxide and how it is affecting our community. Well, there is a plant called Vantage in Gurnee and Medline in Waukegan. These plants release toxic gases into our atmosphere, and as you may know, this is a chemical that can give you breast cancer. Women get breast cancer by inhaling this toxic gas called ETO. This stands for ethylene oxide. ETO usually gives people breast cancer when women have lived here near these plants for a long amount of time. I have lived here for about 2 years, and I still have a chance of getting breast cancer. Imagine the people who have lived here for 10, 15 years. Kids absorb this toxin easier than adults because we are growing and our cells are dividing rapidly. This chemical can explode. Ethylene oxide is used to clean medical equipment, but so can heat and pressure. It's banned in California. Why can't it be banned here? Ethylene oxide is heavier than air, so it goes down. So it goes down. If it went up, this may not be a problem, but that isn't the case here. Vantage and Medline want to make money off of people, Well, when they're getting lawsuits, they won't be making money. They'll be losing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Yolanta, and I live in the Kensington Court community. I'm kind of teary-eyed from seeing that. Exactly 67 days ago, Lake County residents found out about the alarming high levels of a Class 1 carcinogenic ethylene oxide being emitted into our air by Vantage Specialty Chemicals and Medline. As the village board is already aware, ethylene oxide is a cancer and reproductive hazard. I am part of a growing group of concerned citizens who are demanding action to ban ETO emissions near our homes and our schools. Over the course of the past 67 days, we have met as a group on several occasions, including this past Sunday, to discuss this very critical issue impacting the health of our community, impacting the health of our children and our residents. We have identified 3 important next steps that we would like the village to take. Step number 1, conduct independent air testing and demand that the EPA conduct independent air testing as well, not testing done by Vantage, the offending facility. Step number 2, demand a forum with the EPA in attendance to answer our questions and our concerns, because we have many. Demand a Lake County, step 3, demand a Lake County cancer study be done to see if residents living closest to Vantage and Medline are experiencing higher levels of health problems than any other area. From my recent discussions with the Willowbrook team of advocates, the above demands were made on their behalf by their local government. Lake County is entitled to the same proactive response the Willowbrook community was afforded. Our group will be hosting a forum-style meeting on Sunday, February 3rd at 1:30 p.m. at the Gurnee Library to discuss ethylene oxide in our community. I would like to invite the Gurnee's current leadership to participate. The intent of our meeting will be to have an open two-way dialogue between all involved parties, between the citizens, local business leaders, school representatives, and our village leadership. We hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. There is no further public comment. I'm going to close it, but we will have public comment again at the end of the meeting. So I'm going to move on to the consent agenda. And if you did do public comment, if you could sign in the back just so we get the spelling of your name correct for the minutes. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion by Trustee Balmas, second by Trustee Jacobs. Roll call, please, Andy.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
5 aye.
All right, motion carries. Patrick, please read the consent agenda into the record.
Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the December 17, 2018 meeting. Item number 2, approval of contract extension with TKG Sweeping and Service, Inc. for 2019 street sweeping services at 2017 cost of $29 per curb mile, annual contract not to exceed $62,000. Item number 3, approval of Information System Division's request to set a bid date of January 21st, 2019 for the 2019 server storage replacement project. Item number 4, approval payroll for period ending December 21st, 2018 in the amount of $814,941.79. Item number 5, approval bills for period ending January 7th, 2019 in the amount of $603,524.21.
Thank you, Patrick. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read into the
Second.
record? Motion by Trustee Balmas, second by Trustee Jacobs. Roll call, please.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
5 aye.
All right, motion carries. I'll move on to petitions and communications. First up is a proclamation for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, January 21st, 2019. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia on January 15th, 1929, and has made a lasting impression as a key leader in the American civil rights movement during the 1950s and 1960s. And Dr. King's outstanding leadership inspiring speeches, and diligent efforts on behalf of our nation's at-risk and minority population have encouraged millions of Americans to share his dream of civil equality and to bring this dream closer to reality. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day honors Dr. King's legacy each year in January and focuses on bringing people together to break down the barriers that have divided us as a nation. And the Village of Gurnee continues its commitment to the elimination of racism and all forms of discrimination, as well as the development of an inclusive society for all people. Now, therefore, I, Christina Kovarik, Mayor of the Village of Gurnee, do hereby proclaim January 21st, 2019 to be Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the Village of Gurnee. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Trustee Ross, second by Trustee Thorstensen. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. It's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Next up, we have some special guests tonight, and I have a proclamation I'm going to read first, and then I'm going to introduce the girls. Yeah, do we have a microphone? All right, so we're going to have some recognition and some congratulations to the Warren Township Cheer and Pom Junior Cheer Team. So recognizing the Warren Township Cheer and Pom Junior Cheer Team, they are made up of 23 sixth graders from the Gurnee area, and the Warren Township Cheer and Pom Junior Cheer Team participates in community events such as Warren Township Youth Football Games and the Gurnee Days Parade. And the Warren Township Cheer and Pom Junior Cheer Team competed at 3 regional competitions in 2018, where they earned a first place win and bid to state at all 3 competitions. And the Warren Township Cheer and Pom Junior Cheer Team competed against 12 other qualifying 6th grade teams at the state finals competition in December 2018. And the Warren Township Cheer and Pom Junior Cheer Team received the highest score at 89.4 points in the final championship round and were named the 2018 state champions. Now, therefore, it be recognized by the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Gurnee the significant accomplishment the Warren Township Cheer and Pom Junior Cheer Team achieved in 2018 as state champions and their positive role as positive ambassadors of the Village of Gurnee on a statewide stage. So, girls, will you join me down here, down in front? All right. Well, we were really excited to hear that you guys won, and I know you worked really hard to get here. I want all of you to have an opportunity to introduce yourself, okay? And you're all in 6th grade, right? Okay, all right, so we don't have to do age and grade. So why don't we just go down the line. Start with you? All right, just pass the microphone.
Okay, so my name's Sophia. I'm in 6th grade, and I'm 11.
My name's Emily. I'm in 6th grade, and I'm 12.
Hi, my name is Grace. I'm in 6th grade and I'm 12.
I'm Taylor. I'm Eleanor.
I'm Kylie.
I'm Kaylin. I'm Sabrina.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Judy.
I'm Isabella.
I'm Peyton.
I'm Jessa.
I'm Jersey.
I'm Daisy.
I'm Morgan. I'm Maddie.
I'm Brooke. And I'm Lily.
Wow, that's pretty nice. Are you the captain? No. All right, is there a captain to the team? Oh, it's all equal? All right, okay. Well, we have this recognition frame for you, so wherever you're going to store your trophy, you can have this proclamation, and I understand you guys are willing to do a cheer for us tonight. Get us all excited. And all right, so no flips. As I told your coach here, no flips, no pyramids. All right, the floor is yours, girls. We are so proud of you. I can honestly say that is a first in village history. So here you go. Okay, sure. All right. And you don't have to stay. I'm sure you have homework. All right. Where's my Morgan? I think we should start every meeting with a cheer. All right. All right, our last item of business under petitions and communications is the mayor's recommendation to appoint our interim police chief, Brian Smith, to the Northeast Lake County Consolidated Emergency Telephone Systems Board. That term will end. That term ends in April 30th, 2020, and it was created by the retirement of Police Chief Kevin Woodside. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Oh, I have a motion from Trustee Jacobs, second from Trustee Ross. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's okay.
Sure? Okay. All right. You got another meeting on your calendar now. All right, we'll move on to reports. Any reports tonight?
No.
Any old business?
Not tonight.
All right, so we'll move on to new business. The first is approval of ordinance 2019.
01.
Wow, 01. I guess I could have figured that out. Granting a special use permit to allow the establishment and operation of a place of worship at 3900 Washington Street, Suite L.
Sure. So Christian Fellowship Flock is requesting a special use permit to establish a place of worship at 3900 Washington Street, northeast corner of Washington and Ambrosio. The site is zoned C2 and I2, and a special use permit is required for a lodge/meeting hall, which this use would be classified as. Originally started out in Gurnee and then moved to Waukegan, and has outgrown his space there and is looking to move back to the village. They're looking to occupy about 5,200 square feet of the center, which is about 28,500 square feet in total. That site has 156 parking spaces, and the majority of the tenants operate Monday through Friday. Obviously, this use would focus heavily on Sunday usage, so there's not that overlap in parking. That being said, the Planning and Zoning Board did take that distinct different hours of uses into consideration when looking at this request, and were of agreement that allowing shared parking in this instance is appropriate. So parking, they do not believe will be an issue, as the uses will be operating during different times. That being said, they're forwarding a unanimous favorable recommendation on the special use request.
Sorry. Questions from the board for Pat or staff? Trustee Thorstensen?
Mine's not a question. I guess I'd like to say good job, everybody involved, to make this work for this business and still keep them close to Waukegan, which is where their congregation's at.
Petitioner's here. Okay. All right. Other questions?
Move to approve.
I have a motion from Trustee Ross, second from Trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please, Andy.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
5 aye.
All right, motion carries. Welcome to the community. You'll enjoy it here. All right, item number 2, approval of ordinance 2019-02, approving an equipment lease with PNC Bank for a term of 41 months in the amount of $31,334.14. This is for the Bittersweet Golf Course equipment.
Sure. So you had a memo from our finance director, Brian Gosnell, on this, and then Brad Anderson, who's the head of grounds on a Bittersweet, is here tonight. We were planning on having Dirk. He's out of town. Dirk is going to be at the second meeting in January to give us a rundown of the 2018 season and then what's to come in 2019. But the course wanted to get going on this equipment, so we're looking to move forward with this tonight. We previously had a lease agreement with some equipment out at Bittersweet that's about to expire and be paid off. Therefore, it frees up some funding out at the course. So that combined with equipment needs out there, we brought this proposal forward. They're actually looking for 2 pieces of equipment for the 2019 season, but we're just considering one tonight, but I wanted to give you a heads up on the other one. One is a verticutter, the other is a sprayer, and I'll have Brad talk about those in a minute here. But what we'd like to do is move forward with the sprayer at this point. PNC has a lease proposal before us. They've agreed to wait for payments to start until May. So with that being said, our plan would be to move forward with PNC on the sprayer. In May is when the final lease payment for the equipment that we have right now rolls off, so that frees up that money. We would then go and work with Gurnee Community Bank, which we've already spoken with them, take on a loan from them, and then purchase a second piece of equipment as well, and then pay out this lease agreement. So this is really a short term, the PNC lease, just to get the sprayer on board now before the season starts so they can utilize it out at the course. Then we would come back, partner with Gurnee Community Bank here in town to pay out that lease and then bring the other piece of equipment on board. So I'll let Brad, if you want to talk about the piece of equipment and the need out the course quick.
The piece of equipment that we're replacing was bought used several years ago. It was a 1991 model, so it's well beyond its useful life, 27 years old. And I'm the guy who operates it every day, so I can tell you it will not go anymore, so this is a much needed purchase. And we are able to get a demo unit, and we were able to save $3,800 on the overall bid price by getting a demo unit. That the distributor has been demoing it, so it has about 100 hours on it. So we were able to cut the cost by doing that. Any other questions? Or
You want to talk about the verticutter while you're
the
standing up here as well?
verticutters, those also are demo units that we were able to get about $3,000 knocked off on the cost of those also. And they're needed for grooming the greens. The greens out there are an important asset of the community, and this is really needed for their proper care.
And the sprayer is a piece of equipment, as Brad said, that we have right now. The verticutter would be something new that Brad and Dirk feel will take the course really to the next level and really improve the greens out there. So as I said, the sprayer is something we're looking at now. The verticutter would be back before you probably in May with the agreement with Gurnee Community Bank, and then to move forward with that second piece of equipment.
It's basically costing $250 to get started now because of the lease situation.
Yeah, and all the lease payment, that's all paid by the course. It's our course, so it needs to be in our name, but there were no issues in the past with the course making payments on the previous lease agreement. I don't expect any with any new lease agreement going forward.
But with PNC, it's our names on the loan documents,
Correct.
right? Okay.
And it'll be the same with Gurnee Community Bank.
It's a $1 buyout at the end of the lease, so you end up owning the equipment.
All right.
So.
Seems like a wise investment if you got 27 years out of the last one.
Yeah.
Questions from the trustees?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Jacobs. Roll call, please, Andy.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
5
All
aye.
right. Motion carries.
Thank you.
And we'll see you out there Saturday, right? For
Frosty Fest.
all right. All right. Item number 3, approval of ordinance 2019-03, waiving the competitive bidding requirement and awarding a professional services agreement to Sell at Auction, LLC, for the facilitation of the sale of 2 cellular tower easements with the Village of Gurnee.
Sure. So this is something we've talked about 2 times before in front of the village board. We have 2 monopoles, one over here at Brookhaven, just north of the police department, and one up at Public Works. They're both village owned. They both were constructed by third parties and then turned over to the village in exchange for rent abatement. We have no equipment on either monopole. We see no need in the future to have equipment on either monopole. We've had issues with securing additional tenants on the monopoles. The one at Brookhaven has had 1 tenant since it was constructed about in 2008. We haven't been able to secure any more. We have issues on an annual basis with rent collection, with carriers changing hands. So from that perspective, it's an administrative nightmare to keep track of. So we had discussed selling off these leases, sell at auction. We went out to the market to see who was available to do that. Sell at auction is a company in Illinois that specializes in this, really the only one that we could find. We had them here before the village board to answer questions previously. So this is the agreement with Sell at Auction. This authorizes staff to move forward with them. Sell at Auction will, conduct the auction. We'll come back. Following that, if the reserve that we set is achieved, we'll move forward with the sale. If it's not set or not met, then we will come back with the village board and decide whether we're going to not sell or we're going to adjust our reserve level. So their fee on this is 3% of the final sale of the towers. So that's their cut for managing the auction process as well as all the paperwork that follows.
Questions from the trustees?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from trustee Thorstensen, second from trustee Jacobs. Roll call, please.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
5 aye.
All right, motion carries. I will reopen the floor to public comment. We do have an executive session, and we'll be back out, but don't want to make the public wait on us, so if you'd like to come to the microphone, just state your name again, please.
Yes, hi. I'm sorry, earlier I was very nervous. Hopefully now I don't have as many nerves. I'm trying to put myself into your position, and I know that you have a difficult choice whether to please the public with respect to testing for ETO or please the businesses so that they don't leave the area. And I understand your position. I just want you to realize that you don't have to not do anything with the hope that by not doing anything, things will resolve themselves. They won't. In situations like these, the situation will always get worse. It won't get better. And we do not want to become the next Flint, Michigan. You do not want to be the people responsible for the next Flint, Michigan here in Lake County. And because of that, if I were in your position, I would want to know if the air that we breathe, the air that your children breathe, is safe. We moved here a year and a half. The reason why we moved here was for me to either, to 1, be close to my work, and 2, for my kids to be in good schools. Had I known about ETO, I would not have moved here. There is no reason why I would put the health of myself and my children in jeopardy for a job or for schools. It's better to be alive than be in a good school, right? And the thing is, as we gather more steam, as more people find out about ETO, the property values are going to take a big dive. You don't want to be those people who are, holding the steering wheel and the car is crashing, right? So please do the right thing. I know it's a difficult choice. I know that faced with the industry and with their interests, and their interests are not to spend any money. It's a difficult choice, but at the end of the day, if you don't make one, that's already a choice.
Ma'am, there is
Yes.
no difficult choice. We will do what's in the best interest of this community. You may have missed earlier meetings. The other speakers have been through this. Public comment is not for a debate or discussion. This is the wrong forum for that.
I
It's to
understand.
make comments to the board, and we listen. That's all it is. But
Yes,
there is no difficult
absolutely.
decision here.
I understand. I'm just trying to relate. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Brian. Okay, no, go ahead, hon. Go ahead.
Once again, I'm Iris, and my mom does not want me and my sister to have to worry about our health, because when it comes to money, my mom doesn't care as long as we're healthy. And I don't want to go to school tomorrow if I know that I'm going to be breathing bad air. So to me, I don't want my friends to be unhealthy. I don't want myself to be unhealthy. I don't want anybody to be unhealthy. But if it's going to cause brain damage and if it can kill a person, it's really, really hard to it's going to be hard to stay where I am, and it's going to be hard to stay here where I live. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, hon. All right. Brian, if you'll please read for the record why we're going into executive session.
Basically, this is exemption number 6 of the provision relating to the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the public body. We'll need to have a motion and roll call vote.
All right, do I have a motion
So
to
moved.
go into executive session? Motion by trustee Jacobs, second by trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please, Andy.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
5
All right, we will be back out.
Adjourn.